Chapter 3. Homer. Martin arrived at his office around 7 the following morning. He immediately contacted the Homer Police Department. The call was transferred to the officer in charge, Captain Jack Samuels. The Kenai officer clarified the situation, the body that had been discovered, and the kidnapped young girl. Jack added that a man arriving from Korea had contacted them the previous September, searching for a missing woman, but had never shown up at the station. He had assumed the man intended to act independently. Korean loggers are regularly seen in Homer. The captain explained when Martin raised the possibility of a slave market and of the town being a hub for labor trafficking. They keep to themselves and are generally peaceful. They come over from Kenai, buy cigarettes and alcohol, then head back across the bay. We even open a liquor store for them down at the marina. The captain urged Martin to go and investigate there. The labor camp lay outside the jurisdiction of the Homer Municipal Police. Martin, however, worked for the state and could go anywhere he pleased in Alaska. He agreed to leave immediately. He wanted to move the investigation forward without delay. This was a kidnapping, and the abductors might panic and kill the victim if she was still alive. Several months had already passed, but in cases like this, every minute still mattered. Martin thought of Mrs. Kim. He might need her again as a translator. He called her, and she answered on the second ring. She had spent much of the night worrying about the missing woman and was determined to help. As soon as he hung up, Mrs. Kim contacted Susan. She did not want to go to Homer alone and asked the ranger to accompany her. Susan replied that she would first need approval from her superiors. It was still winter. The tourist season had not yet begun. The routine painted the days in muted colors, slowed by the cold's many delays. Her supervisor allowed her to escort the officers without much hesitation. Susan was driven by curiosity, and like Mrs. Kim, she felt personally concerned about Sue's fate. She picked her up at her door, and they went together to the police department. There they met Martin, briefly discussed the route, and then the trio climbed into the chief officer's vehicle, heading toward Homer, a town about 80 miles south of Kenai. It was one of those rare days when the sky was only partially veiled. The sun broke through, and its sparse warmth began to thaw the asphalt. They passed the junction of Anchor River, and soon after, Cook Inlet revealed itself, an immense gray expanse, its surface restless and heaving. Across the inlet, volcanoes smoked in the distance. The mountains periodically spat plumes of ash that could become sudden bursts of ashen brilliance when the clouds grew heavy. Scoria would settle on the ground in layers several inches thick within hours. But that morning, the craters lay dormant. Only a thin ribbon of vapor rose from their snow-capped summits. Martin reached Homer in under 2 hours. The road descended toward the town and opened onto a commercial district of supermarket and hardware warehouse. It was a weekday, and the place was alive with movement. The shops drew customers from hundreds of miles around, and traffic was chaotic. Cars towing long caravans clogged parking lots and entrances, while pedestrians crossed streets without order. Impatient four-wheel drives even mounted sidewalks to enter and exit the packed lots.